We have an official
rumor
of the PlayStation 5 price.
Finally.
Hot take.
Sony.
We have been so waiting for this. There have been rumors of the price here and there, but this is coming from a source that, well, you should still take a grain of salt.
I got a whole pile of salt for you, Shane. Yeah.
This source has stated things in the past that have actually come to fruition.
Yeah, a Twitter user called PSE Rebus. They leaked the original Last of Us 2 release date, which has since been pushed back.
Yep.
But they've also spoken about backwards compatibility.
That is correct.
Which we know is some sort of backwards compatibility is coming to the PS5.
This specific person was stating, don't get rid of your discs.
Yes.
Your PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, they're all going to work on the PlayStation 5.
Yes. So this specific person was speaking about the price for the PlayStation 5. And what is it? Let's not keep the people waiting. Grain of salt, grain of salt, grain of salt.
$499 US. This is an interesting take on the price. If it is to be believed, folks, this is coming in at a cheaper price than the original launch for the PlayStation 3.
Now, that may not seem all that impressive to you because everyone was like, what? $599 for the original PS3 when it was being launched? But it's a different time now, man.
It's a different time,
That was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, we would expect prices to kind of increase over time, but to see this becoming, or to be where it is, it's like $499 is cheaper today than it was years ago. So this is a pretty big deal if this price is accurate. Now, the same user also reported that possibly the Xbox 2 or Xbox Scarlet could be coming in at the exact same price at $499.
Hey, Shane?
Yeah?
Salt.
Gotta have a grain of salt. Yeah, folks, like these are rumors, right?
I find it a little bit difficult to believe that if this person is a PlayStation, like someone that knows someone at PlayStation or something, that they also are attached to Xbox, but I'm not sure because some of the things that they had pointed to did come to fruition.
This is the thing. I imagine the prices are going to be back-to-back the same.
Yeah.
If anything, I personally think Microsoft is going to try and cut Sony by $50 or $100.
We spoke about this before because we've seen about the missteps that Microsoft had taken, especially in this current console generation with going first and not having their pricing kind of being competitive or thinking about what the users wanted from their machines and the pricing thereof. Sony basically came in and undercut them.
Yes, they did.
So you are basically assuming that they're going to wait it out, kind of see what's going on, check the temperature, and then reveal their price and undercut Sony.
Yes, but if Sony releases that system at $499, now, we didn't hear any rumors about a secondary version, a Pro or whatever, we just heard one PlayStation 5. We do know that there were rumors that Microsoft was trying to create a multitude of systems, but that's kind of shrunk a little bit. They're not even certain of that anymore, but what we can tell you for certain is that these two systems are definitely going to be coming out, and they're definitely going to compete on price.
Oh my gosh!
But here is the advantage going into this. Now, we know, because we are living through it, that Microsoft has released the Xbox One SAD edition, which is the digital version that doesn't have a disk drive.
The Xbox One S all digital. Every time you say the SAD edition, Phil Spencer, single tier.
Yeah.
Single tier.
Yeah, it didn't really go over that well. A lot of people didn't like that system. But keep this in mind, people that bought that system do not have physical media to transfer over to the next console. Now, you can get original Xbox games and Xbox 360 games to work on the Xbox One. The problem, though, is that they've basically stopped support for that. Every game that's on there up until this point for Xbox One and 360, that's all you're going to get. They're not going back and adding more according to what Microsoft has said a little while ago. But getting into the PlayStation 5, if Sony can guarantee that at $499, you're going to be capable of playing all your original PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4 discs, and by the way, we've now skipped a generation where we could play PlayStation 3 games natively on the system, this could be a huge thing for Sony. This could revolutionize the way people play their old systems. Because then you're going to think of, well, I'm not going to get rid of any of my old games because I can just come along with them and bring them forward.
I guess an argument to be had as well is, well, maybe some people will get rid of those older systems finally because they can play those games on this one device instead of having your PS3 and PS2 out like I do. You know, maybe folks will just jump on board with the PS5. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, well,
because I like playing on my original hardware. But if it's like seamless and they perfect it, like the emulation,
sure.
At that price point, oh, that's a really great get.
Yeah, we've talked about this previously where Mark Cerny, the head architect for Sony's consoles, stated that, look, I've got this patent that's out there that basically tricks the system into thinking it is the old system, so it's almost a hardware-software emulation akin to what we've seen with FPGA systems that are basically recreating older consoles. It's complex, it's weird, but basically it's going to make the old system run just like it did, but look better than it used to.
The patent that we saw, and it was authored by Mark Cerny himself, it was pretty, like, the images and stuff was pretty basic or simplistic sounding.
Basically, put in the disk, it works.
We don't know exactly how well it'll work or the tech behind making that work. But if it does at the $499 price point, I would be on board. Comparing it, though, to this generation, which I believe this generation kicked off at $399 for the PlayStation 4. Yes.
Yes.
Do you think, like, with inflation and everything, I still think that's, a bit more than what $399 was back in 2012, 2013. But do you feel like we're in a better space for a $499 price point? The world was different back then. A lot of people were a little more wary of their wallets coming out of like 2008 to the mid 2010s.
I think with the PlayStation 4 coming out when it did, that price kind of reflected what the system was capable of. The PlayStation 4 will only play PlayStation 4 games at launch. And moving forward, it never got the ability to play PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 games. So it lost that library back. You could download games that are PlayStation 2, but there's not a lot there. There are some, and you can use the PlayStation Now streaming service to play those older games. If you have the ability to find an original fat PlayStation 3, you have the ability to play all the older games. But back when they originally launched that system, it was expensive.
Yeah, we already alluded to that, but it was $599.
Yeah, for the big model and $499.
Oh, $499. Okay, so the price point was slightly lower. If you wanted to go with the 20 gig one, right?
Yes.
So $499. That was still a lot back in 2006 bucks.
Oh yes.
Right?
Oh yeah, it totally was. And the thing is, a lot of people have kept those systems running to this day because it's been this like big investment for them. But here's the difference, folks. $399 meant you were just getting that one system. The Xbox One released $100 more. It also had Kinect on it. It had a bunch of features people didn't want. It also didn't have the ability to play Xbox 360 or Xbox original games. But if out the gate Sony says, here is a PlayStation 5, top of the line, there is no $599 model, just a $499 model that runs your original PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games and 4 games, you could bring all of that physical media forward, and it could really put Sony in a big position. Because even then, Microsoft only has 2 console generations to pull from. Even if they reopen up their integration and allow more games from the original Xbox and more games from the 360 to work on their newer system, Sony just base has way more PlayStation games, has way more PlayStation 2 games, has way more PlayStation 3 games when you combine all that together.
We're thinking a lot about backwards compatibility right now, which really is great to us, but a lot of people just want the new hotness.
That's true.
Well, let's face it, right? When the PlayStation 4 came out, I didn't see the jump in graphics as something that was just like, oh my gosh, that mind-blowing. And I think it was because it was a product of its time. They didn't want to charge a lot for that box, right? So we didn't have backwards compatibility. And the jump up, it was there, but it wasn't massive. The PlayStation 5, at this price point, having backwards compatibility is cool, but they still need to prove to those people that don't care about the old titles, look at these games.
Yeah.
Look at how amazing they are, and not only how great the graphical fidelity is, but they also have to, the loading times.
Yes.
They have to prove these magical SSDs are as effective as we've been hearing,
Yeah,
right?
because they've been talking about that a lot.
If this thing basically cuts down on load times, and we're starting to get more of the photorealistic things, they're talking about ray tracing, and we have to see what they do with that. That alone, with the SSD, great graphics.
Yes.
$499 price point. I would be on board.
Yeah, I mean, personally, that's where I would go. I remember when the PlayStation 3 originally came out, Sony was still doing a lot of stuff with PlayStation 2. One of the first PlayStation 3 games I ever saw was The Last of Us Remastered. And
PlayStation 4 game?
PlayStation 4 PlayStation 4 was Last of Us Remastered, which was a late era PlayStation 3 game. So a lot of people saw those things and went, There's not that big of a difference. And unfortunately, that fell through to the whole console. But with the PlayStation 5, we know that what they're capable of with that system, the specs we've heard so far, should be a lot more interesting, should create bigger experiences that are not capable on this
We've
system.
had stuff like Horizon and even Death Stranding, love or hate the gameplay, like it looks
visually.
Beautiful. So like, this always happens at the tail end of a console, right? You wind up with these great, amazing looking games because they're finally really utilizing the power under the hood. But yeah, I'm hoping that the jump into the next system, when we're getting those first new games, we're not necessarily looking at remasters of PlayStation. There will be spillover, or maybe that is what all this backwards compatibility tech's about. Maybe remasters are a thing of the past.
I think Sony's going to go into that. They're going to just re-release digital versions of their old games if you don't have physical. But Sony has been so quiet for the past like year and a bit that I think it really is, look, we've got all these companies doing things, and that's moving forward. Like, you're just going to see a ton of stuff come to the PlayStation 5. Microsoft has been very vocal about buying all these companies and showing things off. And they recently just had an event where they showed off a bunch of games, and they were just for the modern system, not their next gen. So there is a lot riding for Sony to get the PlayStation 5 right. And I gotta say, that price sounds right to me. We've seen other prices from other systems, like Nintendo's consoles. The Wii U came in at $349. The deluxe was, or the basic model was $299.
Yeah.
And that price was okay, but it could have been even cheaper if they didn't have that controller and just kind of created an HD version of the Wii.
Yeah, maybe if they didn't have the Wii backwards compatibility within the machine. I'm not quite too sure about the tech there, but I think a Wii U is great for what it is. That price point, though, for the deluxe, it was a little bit high. The Switch came in at $299, which was wonderful. And I think that was a great way for people to jump on board. And then the graphical fidelity and stuff, even though it doesn't look nearly as great as some of the consoles that we have right now, the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, you kind of got what you paid for. You got a cool little handheld for that price point.
And I think that's the thing, right? We're looking at these companies really fighting on price right now at a time when Stadia exists, sorta, and we're seeing them try to be send out this message. Look, you don't need the console anymore. You can just stream the game to you. We know Microsoft is doing that. We know that Sony's doing that. Nintendo doesn't seem to have any initiatives in streaming as of yet. But these other companies are doing that, but they're still sending out the console. So they have to make these consoles amazing for people to buy because they are trying to set up a world where you don't need them anymore. So this may, in fact, be, and I know we hear this every generation.
Are you going to say it?
This may be the last year or the last generation of physical consoles. I personally don't believe it.
I don't believe
but that's
that.
what these companies
You're going to hear
think.
that a lot. You're going to hear that a lot.
But that's what these companies think.
I don't think that streaming is a fad necessarily.
I don't think it is.
It's something that is going to be integrated in with the sort of physicality of these devices.
Yes, but I believe that you're always going to need some physical device to play these
You're going to need a $399 or $499 or $299 box somewhere, at least for the next couple of years until we finally get, what is it, the PlayStation 10?
Yeah,
9?
9.
Where you put it in your head and the world is your video game and then you accidentally punch a dog and then you get, there's a lawsuit.
If you've never seen the commercial, look at the PlayStation 9 commercial. It's amazing.
Anyway.
But this is the thing, right, folks? This is going to be a crazy generation. There's going to be so much stuff going on. And right now, the first step into getting people on board is offering tons of abilities, tons of features, and the cheapest price point imaginable.
Right.
And that's the best way to do this.
What are those features going to be? What is the final price point going to be? Can you believe what this Twitter user is saying about this price point?
Yeah, if it's not, honestly, I think $350, $499, anywhere in that range.
I think $499 is
$499.
Like that's reasonable.
That's like, it's expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it's reasonable for what the features would be set in that system.
Yeah.
But folks, what do you believe? Do you think the console sounds too expensive, or do you think it needs to come down a little bit in price?
What do you need integrated into these boxes to convince you to pick one up day one at that price point?
I know for him, he just needs to play Vita games.
I like it.